So this is a continuation of the original Living in Greensboro pros and cons video I did a while back. I'm coming into my 4th year of living in the area after moving from the suburbs of Chicago. And the more time I spend in Greensboro, the more things I find out that I really like about the city. And of course, I find some more things that, I can kind of live without as well. And we're going to talk about those in this video. Now, if you want more details about living in Greensboro, from neighborhood guides, places to eat, sites, history, all those things like that, check out Living in Greensboro on the web at livingingreensboro.com, but also same handle on Instagram and Facebook. Tons of information about living in Greensboro and a newsletter that you can sign up for weekly events and things like that. I'm Jeff Valentino. I love helping people buy and sell real estate. If you need help with that, my contact information is below. But let's go ahead and start with the first pro of living in Greensboro, and that is the economy and overall outlook for the city. Greensboro's been on a consistent track of growth over the last few years, but really the last couple years, the economy and job market here have really started to grow and expand at a much quicker rate. Up by the airport, you have a lot of exciting things going on by PTI Airport. You have Boom Supersonic that announced it's building a headquarters here. And after that announcement was made, as that began to get some traction, a lot of other businesses are coming here. And we're seeing tons and tons of small and mostly medium-sized businesses that are investing hundreds of millions of dollars and bringing thousands of jobs to the area right around the airport. The latest one was a British company, Marshall Aerospace. They announced a $50 million facility that they're building near PTI, and they're bringing almost 250 jobs to the area as well. They're going to have a well above average starting salary that's going to be reported in the mid $70,000 range. And that's just one of many stories right around the airport as that area begins to grow and attract a lot of these mid-sized businesses that are bringing not only just manufacturing jobs, but also higher paying white collar jobs to the area right around the airport as well. It's been a very similar story down south where Toyota is going to be making their battery manufacturing plant. That's going to bring thousands of jobs, but also it's bringing those additional businesses out there as well as the Carolina core gets developed around the southern part of Greensboro. All in all, just those two sites right there. Plus, Greensboro has recently ranked in the top 20 in the nation for starting a small business. As a matter of fact, it was in the top 15 for new business startups over the last couple of years. So when we take all those factors that are bringing all that investment and jobs into the area and add it to the fact that Greensboro is really well managed. As a matter of fact, while many cities have a reputation for waste and overspending and just being poorly managed, Greensboro has ranked as one of the top managed cities in the country by Wallet Hub for 5 straight years. So when you add all that together with the jobs and businesses coming to Greensboro, with how the city is managed, that makes for an incredible advantage that living in Greensboro has. Now, for the first con about living in Greensboro is that I've noticed a lot of big events can kind of pass Greensboro by. And while Greensboro does have Broadway caliber shows and plays at the Tanger Center, and they get their fair share of headlining concerts and musical acts and things like that, I do see quite a few of them that pass the city by altogether. They would rather go to much bigger cities like Raleigh or Charlotte. So that means if you want to see, your favorite comedian or musical act, or if you want to go to a professional sporting event, you're going to have to take a drive to Raleigh or Charlotte quite often to really do that. On the plus side of that, within about an hour and a half, you can be in either one of those places. So it's not a tremendous con, but altogether, it does kind of keep the city from being, a really premier destination in and of itself. So the next pro about living in Greensboro is that it kind of flies under the radar, which is good, especially right now in North Carolina. North Carolina is such a growth state. And Greensboro, even with a booming economy, a really strong job market, Broadway quality shows, tons of outdoor activities, lots of family-friendly stuff to do, affordable housing, and so much more, Greensboro tends to fly under the radar. Most of the focus when it comes to moving in North Carolina is at Raleigh, and then after that, probably Charlotte, and then, a distant third will be Asheville, and then Greensboro is still, like I said, kind of under the radar. It doesn't get the love that a lot of those other cities get, and I really think that's a pro. And while those cities, they can see up to double-digit growth in a specific year, Greensboro kind of plugs along and it's 1% to 2% growth each year, and what that does, it helps it maintain its quality of life. As a matter of fact, Mayor Nancy Vaughn has stated that helps Greensboro stay ahead of the curve on infrastructure, quality of life, schools, and just really helping it maintain that small town charm that so many people like about living in Greensboro. All right, next con about living in Greensboro is the suburbs. They're kind of small, at least population-wise. I did a video recently ranking Greensboro suburbs that I'm going to link below as well, but in that video I talked about the most popular suburbs around Greensboro, and really the most populated one was Summerfield at about 11,000 people. I guess Kernersville has about 26,000 people, which is close to Greensboro, but it's technically a suburb of Winston-Salem, so that really doesn't count. So the overall suburban landscape is made up more of kind of small towns versus traditional suburbs of what you would see around a city. What that means is the area just outside the city is small and it can get rural pretty quickly. Now maybe that's a pro for you, but what I find that happens a lot is people that live outside of Greensboro itself tend to come back to the city for restaurants, entertainment, shopping, and things like that. So if you're thinking of moving here, just know that if you go to one of those suburbs that you're probably going to be making trips back into Greensboro, so you can plan accordingly. All right, next pro about living in Greensboro is the neighborhoods. Greensboro has a wide variety of unique and distinct neighborhoods, from stately neighborhoods like Old Irving Park to really quirky, odd neighborhoods like Westerwood, or outdoorsy areas and neighborhoods like Lake Jeanette. Greensboro has a huge variety of neighborhoods. And that means that kind of whatever you're into, if you're into something more eclectic or more suburban feeling, or something that's really close to shopping and restaurants, there's a Greensboro neighborhood for you. And it's, like I said, they're all very separate and distinct. As a matter of fact, and I hear people take their love of their neighborhood really seriously in Greensboro. It's almost like living within a city, within the city itself. People really love their Greensboro neighborhoods. All right, next con about living in Greensboro is we have long winters, especially for the South. It's really weird, and this one still kind of takes me by surprise, even after living here a few years. In December, you can have a 70-degree day on Monday, and then by Thursday or Friday, you got days in the 40s or upper 30s. Just can be really crazy all in one week. All in December, you think, wow, this is not bad. And then later on that week, you get some cold temperatures. As a matter of fact, I think just a couple years ago, we had a frost right around Mother's Day in the beginning of May, which was absolutely nuts. That always takes me by surprise when we have this April day and all of a sudden it's in like the 50s or upper 40s and windy and chilly. It just is like, wow, it just does not feel like the South. So the winters in Greensboro can drag out a little longer than you'd expect. Next pro about living in Greensboro is just the amazing amount of things to do, and it really doesn't matter almost whatever you're into. If you're into mountain biking or hiking and trails or kayaking or all kinds of outdoor activities, or going to parks, or family-friendly things like the Greensboro Science Center and the aquarium, or museums, shopping, botanical gardens, musicals, Broadway shows, really good restaurants. The list goes on and on. I'm amazed. The more time I spend in Greensboro, the more I find there are just kind of whatever you're into, there are plenty of things to do. Now add that into the fact of within the Triad itself, going to Winston-Salem or High Point, within about 30 minutes or so, there's access to tons and tons of other things. Greensboro is an ideal place to find something to do. If you look around, I'm sure you won't be bored. If you're thinking about moving to Greensboro, I'd love to be a resource for you. You can email me directly at jeff@govalentino.com. Thanks.